Good evening, citizens of Portsmouth, invited guests, city staff, my colleagues on council, and our city manager, Mr. Stephen Carter, our city attorney, Vonda Grant-Williams, and our city clerk, Ms. Deborah White. I want to thank everyone for coming to our council meeting on this Tuesday, August 13th, and I would now ask that all of us please stand for a moment of silence following the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all again. I will ask that my colleagues on council please note your attendance electronically.
5 members of City Council are present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. When we do have the minutes of a called meeting on July 23rd, 2024, and a regular meeting on July 23rd, 2024, do we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes? Please vote electronically. And if I could take a moment to state,
The minutes are adopted 5-0.
we have a quorum. Madam Clerk, would you please read the council rules?
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, City Council rules require a limit of up to 5 minutes to speak. As you approach the speaker's podium, you will notice a timer. At the beginning of your 5 minutes, you will see a green light. 4 minutes into your remarks, you will notice a yellow light. At the end of 5 minutes, you will see a red light, hear a beep, and we ask that you conclude your comments at that time. While speakers have an opportunity to address council on matters of public concern, all comments should be made in a manner that respects the seriousness of the forum and should not be made in a belligerent, sarcastic, or demeaning fashion. All remarks shall be directed to the City Council as a body rather than to any particular member of the City Council, staff, or the audience, and should be limited to matters that only the Portsmouth City Council can influence. A speaker who fails to observe this basic rule of decorum will be deemed out of order and not allowed to conclude his or her comments.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We're now moving to the item unfinished business. Item 24-76, Innovation District. Item C, AP-24-01. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the resolution that we're considering for this item?
Mayor, for this particular item, the members of council were looking to defer this item to the September 10th meeting.
Thank you, ma'am. In order to move forward with the deferral, we need a motion and a second to defer, or we just?
Motion and second
Right,
to
we will need a
defer.
motion and a second to defer this item until September.
I move to defer this item until September the 10th.
Second.
Second, please vote electronically.
This item is adopted 5-2.
5-0?
Excuse me, 5-0. Everybody's, it's a long day, y'all.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Clerk, for the
You're welcome,
clarification.
A long day.
We have now come to the item City Manager's Report, item 24-222. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the ordinance that we're considering for this item?
Yes, sir. An ordinance accepting jail diversion funds in the amount of $50,451 from the Virginia Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Services and appropriated said amount in the FY 2025 Behavioral Health Service Fund for diversion of misdemeanor offenders with mental health issues from jail into treatment.
Thank you, ma'am. Council members, we're in need of a motion and a second.
Second.
Any additional discussion on this item? Seeing none, please vote electronically.
This item is adopted 5-0.
Item 24-223. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the ordinance that we are considering pertaining to this item?
Yes, sir. An ordinance accepting a circuit court records preservation program grant in the amount of $65,772 from the Library of Virginia and appropriating said funds in the FY 2025 Grants Fund for use by the Circuit Court Clerk's Office.
Thank you, ma'am. Members, we are in need of a motion and a second.
Move for adoption.
Any additional discussion on this item? Seeing none, please vote electronically.
This item is adopted 5-0.
Item 24-224. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the item that we are considering, the ordinance that we're considering for this item?
An ordinance accepting additional IVE foster care funding in the amount of $53,250 from the Virginia Department of Social Services and appropriating said amount in the FY 2025 Social Services Fund for foster care assistance.
Council members, we're in need of a motion and a second.
Second.
Any additional discussion on this item? Seeing none, please vote electronically.
This item is adopted 5-0.
Our next item is item 24-225. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the ordinance that we're considering pertaining to this item?
Yes, sir. An ordinance accepting funding from the Virginia Department of Social Services in the amount of $2,400 and appropriating said amount in the FY 2025 Social Services Fund budget for the Family Partnership Meeting Incentive Program.
Thank you, ma'am. Council members, we are in need of a motion and a second.
Move for adoption.
Any additional discussion on this item? Seeing none, please vote electronically.
This item is adopted 5-0.
Item 24-226. Madam Clerk, would you please read the ordinance we are considering pertaining to this item?
An ordinance amending and reordaining Article 9, offenses against property of Chapter 24 of the Code of the City of Portsmouth, Virginia by amending Section 24-316, removal or repair of defacement of building walls, fences, and other structures to modify Sections C and E and add a new subsection F for the purpose of conforming the city's available remedies for defacement of property to the provisions of the Virginia Code.
Council members, we are in need of a motion and a second.
Move for adoption.
Any additional discussion on this item? Seeing none, please vote electronically.
This item is adopted 5-0.
Item 24-227. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the ordinance that we are considering pertaining to this item?
An ordinance accepting GPS monitoring program participant payments in the amount of $21,000 and appropriating said funds in the Sheriff's Office category of the FY 2025 General Fund budget for the operation of the Portsmouth Sheriff's Office Global Positioning System Monitoring Program.
Thank you, ma'am. Council members, we are in need of a motion and a second.
Second.
Any additional discussion on this item? Seeing none, please vote electronically.
This item is adopted 5-0.
Our next item, item 24-228. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the ordinance that we are accepting for this item?
An ordinance accepting a grant in the amount of $1,067,316 from the Virginia Department of Criminal Justice Services and appropriating said funds in the FY 2025 Grants Fund to provide funding to the Portsmouth Sheriff's Office for the salaries and benefits of 12 full-time school resource officers.
Council members, we are in need of a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Seeing none, please vote electronically.
This item is adopted 5-0.
Item 24229. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the ordinance that we are considering for this item?
An ordinance accepting a grant in the amount of $647,857 from the Virginia Department of Criminal Justice Services and appropriating said funds in the FY 2025 Grants Fund to provide funding to operate local probation and pretrial services in the city of Portsmouth.
Council members, we are in need of a motion and a second.
Move for adoption.
Any additional discussion? Seeing none, please vote electronically.
This item is adopted 5-0.
Item 24-230. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the ordinance that we are considering pertaining to this item?
An ordinance accepting a grant in the amount of $552,761 from the Virginia Department of Criminal Justice Services and appropriating said sum in the FY 2025 Grants Fund for use by the Commonwealth's Attorney Office for the Victim Witness Program.
It's a different number. The amount is different.
It's 552, y'all changed it.
Okay. Oh.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Madam Clerk, you have the floor.
I read the ordinance, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Move for
Council
adoption.
members, we are in need of a motion and a second. Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, please vote electronically.
This item is adopted 5-0.
Thank you, ma'am. Item 24-231. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the resolution that we are considering pertaining to this item?
Yes, sir. A resolution granting easements to the Virginia Department of Environmental Quality to install and access chlorine monitoring wells at the Lake Kilby Water Treatment Facility.
Thank you, ma'am. Council members, we are in need of a motion and a second.
Move for adoption.
Any additional discussion on this item? Seeing none, please vote electronically.
This item is adopted 5-0.
Item 24-232. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the resolution that we are considering pertaining to this item?
A resolution authorizing the acquisition of a stormwater drainage easement from the United States of America, Craney Island Disposal Area.
Thank you, ma'am. Council members, we are in need of a motion and a second.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Seeing none, please vote electronically.
This item is adopted 5-0.
Item number 24-233. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the resolution that we are considering pertaining to this item?
A resolution granting an easement to the Virginia Electric and Power Company doing business as Dominion Energy Virginia at the request of the City of Suffolk in furtherance of Suffolk's Sewer Pump Station 17 project.
Thank you, ma'am. Council members, we are in need of a motion and a second.
Move for adoption.
Any additional discussion on this item? Seeing none, please vote electronically.
This item is adopted 5-0.
Thank you, ma'am. And that concludes our city manager's report. We move on to the next agenda item, which is new business. Item 24-234, boards and commissions. And Vice Mayor, do you have any boards of commissions to present at this time?
Yes, Mayor, I do. We have reappointments today for the History Commission, Cindy Nichols, and for Portsmouth Redevelopment and Housing Authority, reappointment for Zakita Cost.
Thank you, ma'am. Council members, we are in need of a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Seeing none, please vote electronically.
This item is adopted 5-0.
We have now come to the next agenda item under new business, item submitted by council 24-235. And first up, we do have a presentation by Councilman Barnes. So Councilman Barnes, sir, if you would come forward and present Your mic is off, sir.
So I'm gonna start my way here, right here, and then I'm gonna work my way down.
However you choose to do it,
Yeah.
sir.
So a couple of weeks ago, I was at a event. A couple of us was there. Was at the Inca Hub, and it was they had a little celebration for how long they've been in business and doing work in the city of Portsmouth. But after that, I was asked to speak to a group of high school students who are in attendance tonight, and we talked about what they're doing and kind of give you a little background. Along with the city's program for summer jobs, the Portsmouth Public School has a program for summer jobs in which they're paying kids $5,000 for the summer. And I want to give a shout out to Lakeisha Clue Atkinson because she's responsible for that program. So we have more than just the 130 kids in our program and the kids in the other program. We have our school system who's also participating in this process and putting our kids to work. But when speaking with those kids, they were telling me about some of the things that they're doing, the experiences that they're getting. But they also asked about what we do on city council. So I explained to them, and tonight y'all got a boring meeting. This ain't one of the fun ones where you get to see all the fireworks. But I explained to them what we do, and I explained to them that whenever they have issues, that they can actually come to council and talk to us. And they told me some things that day about some of the issues they wanted to have fixed in the city. And of course I'm gonna bring that to council as well. But they were a great group of kids, and they asked some very good questions. And I just want to let them know that I appreciate that, and because of that, I want to recognize all of you. It was one more, but he's not here. But I'm gonna recognize the ones that were here. So when I call your name, I'm gonna ask that you come to the front podium. First, I want to recognize two that they work for KMK Productions. They are Dylan Lassner, and if I mess up your name, please correct me when you come up here. And Dylan Lassner and Raul Lancheros. Is that right? Did I get it right?
They say, yeah, kind of.
I figured I didn't. Can you announce it for me? Lanch. Say it on the mic for me. Say it for me.
Raul Lancheros.
See, that's the best way to get it. And then also we have from Vera Flight, Zariah Anderson. Come up front. And then we have from Community Outreach Coalition, Neola Sharon K. I got it right? Can you say your name? I'm sorry. That we went over in the hallway, but I still couldn't get it right. Can you say it up there for us?
It's Eniola Sharonke.
Okay. Look, I just wanted to recognize you guys because that discussion that we had, it was very detailed. I appreciate the things that you guys said, and I'm very pleased that you guys are really informed, but also that you guys are learning some skills that's gonna really benefit you in the future, but also benefit the city. If it's okay, Mayor, I wanted to give them like a 1 minute to tell what they're doing and what they're learning, if that's okay.
We can allow that for this time, sure.
Okay. Well, any one of y'all want to kind of speak about, because I know you are helping people form businesses. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
So if you could just state your name again so everybody can hear, and then pull the microphone down and talk into the microphone, please.
I'm Zariah Anderson, and I'm working for VA Repair Inc. And right now, we're trying to develop another business of his that's called Pink Ribbon. Basically, I'm trying to make a business plan and trying to get grants and bids for him so he can start his business.
And I'm gonna tell you, when I got there, she gave me her business card.
Oh, I got some more right
You
now.
got some more? Make sure a council gets one. I'm not gonna make all y'all speak if you don't want to, but if anybody want to speak to what they do.
I'm Dylan Lassiter, and I work for KMK Productions. And currently, we are working with Big Homies to help them with their fundraiser, Ballin' on the River.
Did anyone else want to say anything? You don't have to.
Okay, I'm Eniola Sharanke. I work for the Community Outreach Coalition. The owner of it is Kendra Robertson, and she basically helps families with low income, with school, jobs, education, things like that. So, yeah.
Good job.
Good job. Also, I wanted to recognize Community Outreach Coalition Office Manager Christy Franklin. She's here. I wanted to recognize her because she's the one when she was there, she was getting everybody together, and definitely the hard work that she's put in is beneficial to all these children. So I wanted to recognize her for that. If she wanted to say something, you can. You don't have to. All right. But Clue, you go over there too. But I wanted to give you guys something. I called to get you guys what I call a swag bag, and it was late, but our city clerk put it together for us. I want to give her a hand for that, Miss Deborah White. I appreciate her for getting that together. So I wanted to give y'all one of these. Appreciate that. And thank you guys again, and that's it.
Thank you, young people. Thank you for all you do. That concludes the presentation. So now we'll move forward with items submitted by council, and I will ask my colleagues, are there any other items to be submitted by council at this time? I did just want to recognize the Hampton Roads Community Health Center for the Community Day that they put on this past weekend. It was a family-filled event with young people and their families to learn about health care and also to learn about different things and different resources within the community. It was well attended. And this is what a community is all about, working together to bring resources and information to help our citizens to improve their quality of life. So thanks again to the Hampton Roads Community Health Center for your community engagement and all you do to make a difference in our citizens' lives. Next, we'll move on to item 24-236, report on pending items. Manager Carter, do you have any pending items?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, sir, I do. Those items is in your report back, in your binders today. Please take an opportunity to take a look at those. If you have any questions, concerns, or issues, please let me know. Otherwise, that is it for my report, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Manager Carter. Now we've moved to the non-agenda speakers item 24-237. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the speaker's statement?
Ladies and gentlemen, City Council rules require a limit of up to 5 minutes to speak. As you approach the speaker's podium, you will notice a timer. At the beginning of your 5 minutes, you will see a green light. 4 minutes into your remarks, you will notice a yellow light. At the end of 5 minutes, you will see a red light, hear a beep, and we ask that you conclude your comments at that time. While speakers have an opportunity to address council on matters of public concern, all comments should be made in a manner that respects the seriousness of the forum and should not be made in a belligerent, sarcastic, or demeaning fashion. All remarks shall be directed to the city council as a body rather than to any particular member of city council, staff, or the audience, and should be limited to matters that only the Portsmouth City Council can influence. A speaker who fails to observe this basic rule of decorum will be deemed out of order and not allowed to conclude his or her comments.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And our first speaker is Elliot Cohen. Mr. Cohen, if you would come forward, state your name and address. You will have 5 minutes, sir.
Elliot Cohen. I live in Chesapeake. I own the shopping center right at the city line of Portsmouth in Churchland. It used to be the old Shoney's property, if you're familiar with it. A couple of years ago, I was informed that they were going to turn the railroad track into a trail. I went to the library in Churchland, and we had a meeting, and I met with Mr. Wright, and he was gracious enough to come out to the property and see my concerns. My first concern was a ditch that was on the side of the property next to the railroad track. I took a picture of it back then, and to my amazement, it was 2016, and I'm still here talking about the same ditch. I've been here for 40 years. The water department has changed and is excellent. The building department has changed and is excellent. But when it comes to dealing with the ditch and the bike path, I can't even get a return phone call. Not one person bothered to call me. I've called the city manager's office, and they very gracefully said they would pass that on. Now I'm being told that they can't cut the grass. I have a picture, and I don't know if there's a way to put it up on the screen. Speed, reduce speed ahead. Can anybody see the sign because of the grass? But when I called and told them that they haven't cut the grass, they said, oh, it's swampland. Well, you don't cut it. And it's right on the side of the highway. But they put a new sign up saying pedestrian walking across the bike path. I'm here tonight to tell you somebody's going to get killed either in the ditch or going across the street. And I just want to put everybody on notice that they've done absolutely nothing in 8 years about doing the plans on this thing. I was shocked to see that I had pictures that I had taken 8 years ago. And the funny thing is the picture has all the grass and the swamp area all nice and cleared, and you can see the shopping center, no problem. But now they want to use the excuse that it's swampland and they can't. There's a billboard on the property. Somebody's making money, but nobody's spending money to keep the place clean. 2 weeks ago, I had seen an inspector on site on my property. I asked him to clean up the grass and the concrete that was taken out of the area. He said he'll get to it that day. What does he do? He picks it up and moves it to the other side of the bike path. Something, it just needs to be worked on. I know it's not your responsibility, but I just wanted to get the chance to tell you that if you can't return a phone call, there's a problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen. Our next speaker is Mr. Harry Carruthers III. Sir, if you would come forward, state your name and address, you will have 5 minutes. Our next speaker is Mr. Sherman Tyler. Sir, if you would come forward, state your name and address, you will have 5 minutes.
Sherman Tyler, Parker Avenue. Tonight, I just want to give thanks. I got a blessing this week. I had a vision. That there's just so many people that I think wants to vote, needs to vote, but they just can't. They don't have loved ones to pick them up. They don't have cars. And the vision I had, I wanted to have at least 8 rental vans on election day. I mean, to get people around to the polls, to the nursing homes, to the people that's in jail that's not a convicted felon but on misdemeanor charges that probably won't be out for November. And we're gonna most definitely we're gonna work with the sheriff, and we're gonna get them to they have a right to vote. They're not felons. They're just doing a year or less. We're gonna get them to. We're really so. The blessing is that I had some neighbors who already donated 4 rental vans, gave me the receipts. They're going to be driving, and we're going to push to get 4 more. I want 8 cars on this street all day, election day. We're going to get these people to them polls that week. If you don't have nobody to love on you to pick you up, we're going to pick you up. If you can't walk, we're going to pick you up. All we ask is there be no smoking in the vans. You're going to have good Christian people to take you around with license and insurance, and we're going to get you there. And we're going to partner with the sheriff, like I said, and those that's not in jail for a felony that will not be out before November, we're going to get them too. Because we're going to change our dynamics this year. You will not get elected with no 11, 12,000 votes this year. Yeah, because the people, we are tired. We're tired, and we want change. I'm going to say this here. On the last meeting, suppose I've been here, but I didn't, and I was very, very disturbed on a comment that was made that we're out there rocking the block. We rocking the block, but got people right there in Dale's home in Hamilton Place with no AC. I took a AC to a woman out Dale's home who helped raise my kids in the 90s, and she's a woman 80 years old and didn't have AC. And the director got up here, or whoever she was, and stated that that problem was taken care of, and it was not. It was not. And the comment from, I'm just going to say it, the city manager, I don't know what power he has in that, but the comment, Bonds asked 3 times, about that. And even if city manager, if you don't have any authority over that, you could have cared enough to say, Mr. Bonds, I don't know what I can do about it, but tomorrow I'm on it, because don't forget now you're rocking the block. You know what I mean? So how can you rock a block and you got people 2 blocks up on Dale's home who's in 100? This woman was in a 104-degree temperature, record high that day, and she 80 years old. She was keeping all my children in their 30s. She was keeping my children out there in the 90s. And the proper response for that city manager would have been, I don't know my authority with that, but Bonds, I'm going to look into it tomorrow. And then after the city manager said that, Bonds would just completely shut down by saying, listen, we're going to move on. That's how you will talk about the people that you're looking to elect you? So you will literally say move on a conversation that we're talking about people who's living in low-income housing, who has no AC with 104-degree weather, but we're going to move on. And these same folks you asking to vote for you in November, not going to happen. Yeah, because we're going to beat these streets. We're going to keep reminding these mothers and fathers of their dead loved ones that they are lost in the street, and we're going to get them on election day. So the days of winning elections, 11, 12, it's not going to happen this year. People are tired. And we are together. We have unified each other. We are one, and we're going to get out there this year, and we're going to make it happen. We're going into jails. We're not a convicted felon. We come to get you. You got a right to vote. If you can't walk, handicap, whatever you're going through, and you don't have a car, you at work, we come to get you at work time and have you back at work before lunch. We come to get you, because we got to change this scenario around. We need people on that dais who, I ain't saying some of y'all do care, but comments that I heard last meeting, it's not coming from a person that care. Because the comeback would have been like this man saying. He can't get nobody in a city manager office. I've called. Derek Redmond have called. So we might need to change our city manager and get Ms. Terry back here. Because we didn't have them problems then. We didn't.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker, Mr. Robert Turner.
Mayor, my button.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see it.
Thank you, Mayor.
Sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to make it publicly known that our city manager did reach out to our PRHA director and has been in constant contact in those situations per an update from PRHA has been addressed. So I want to go ahead and squash all misinformation. The city of Portsmouth, as well as PRHA, have worked successfully together to make sure that the air conditioning situations were taken care of and have been taken care of, and that it was addressed before that meeting and was addressed after the meeting and was resolved immediately upon that meeting, thanks to the leadership of Mr. Carter and to the leadership of Ms. Winston, the PRHA director.
Thank you, sir, for the clarification. Ms. Lucasberg, Vice Mayor Lucasberg, you have the floor.
Yes, I was just inquiring about the last speaker, Mr. Cohen. I don't know if he sent any communication to council members or if it was directed to just the city manager's office, because when we get an email, I believe at least 3 of us or 4 of us will respond to an email. And I just did a Google search, a bar search for your name or the topic, and I have nothing in there because I do try to respond to emails when they are sent. So you can always send that to council@portsmouthva.gov, and it'll come to all of us, and out of 7 of us, somebody's going to say something.
Sir, if you would come forward, come forward, and please come to the microphone. Absolutely.
Just real quick, I appreciate that. I didn't think it warrant to bother you guys. You're busy enough. I figured it should have been taken care of at the lower area, and it just, like, it's a brick wall at that point. So, but yes, if it's necessary, and that's why I made the appointment to come in here. But if that's the right way to handle it, I'll let you know how we make out. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen. Our next speaker is Councilman Barnes. Sir, you have the floor.
I did wanted to say something regarding the PRHA situation. We did get an email after the last meeting regarding those citizens being taken care of, and I haven't heard anything since from a citizen. However, I do remember asking for what would be what could be our response if something like that, when that's actually happening. I can't remember if we were supposed to get an update in this meeting or the next meeting.
I'll make sure you get one. We need to talk with our city attorney about what our privileges are in that situation.
Because that situation we shouldn't have to have talked about it up here for it actually to get done, because it wasn't getting done before it was talked about on city council.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Mr. Robert Turner. Mr. Turner, if you're here, you come forward, state your name and address. You will have 5 minutes. Our next speaker is Mr. Gary Bahena. Mr. Bahena, please come forward, state your name and address, and you will have 5 minutes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, my Vice Mayor, City Council, City Manager, everybody else. My name is Gary Bahena. I live at 428 North Street here in Old Town. I'm here to talk tonight about the paddle battle, Portsmouth Paddle Battle. This is our 4th annual Portsmouth Paddle Battle. It happens on September 7th, right here in High Street Basin. For those of you who are not familiar with the paddle battle, it is a series of kayak and stand-up paddleboard races from High Street Basin to the Hammerhead Crane and back. The day is about having fun doing the races and watching people race. One of our races is a series of races with the Coast Guard versus the Navy in the Challenge Cup, which is also fun to watch. Also fun to watch in the past has been the mayor participating. Unfortunately, his daughter, who I thought was a friend of mine, scheduled her wedding for the night before, probably to give her father an out from racing this year. I'll get her. In addition to the racing, we have children's activities, we have educational activities, fun activities for kids. It's a really family fun day and event. Some of you have raced. Councilman Hugel has worked on the race committee. Others in the city government have been wonderful partners in this. We partner very closely with a number of people, and I'll come back after the race and thank them all by name. The point of the event is also to raise money. We raise money to fund the two city maritime museums. There are only two nonprofits in the city who are devoted solely to funding our museums. The Museums Foundation funds the Children's Museum, and the Friends of the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard Museum, which I'm president of, funds the Lightship Museum and the Shipyard Museum. Among the projects that we've paid for most recently, and a request from the current museums director for an emergency $10,000 grant about a year ago when the AC for the Lightship failed. And we partnered and put up 50% ourselves, and 50% came from the city. In past years, we've worked with prior museum directors to collaboratively decide what we're going to fund. But like I said, we're here to fund those two museums, and when we work well with our museums directors, we fund the two museums. One of the biggest projects that's being funded by the Paddle Battle is our I.C. Norcom Oral History Project, in conjunction with the Norfolk Naval Shipyard, Mr. Hugel's favorite shipyard. What we are doing, we've been interviewing now for 4 years. This will be our 4th year. People who have worked at the shipyard and who grew up or lived for most of their lives right here in Portsmouth. And so we're getting stories about what it was like to work in the shipyard, or what it is like to work in the shipyard, and what it was like to be here. We've gotten some great stories. We've interviewed people who were at the first integrated schools here in Portsmouth. We've interviewed people who were the first woman to do a job at Portsmouth, the first black woman to do a job at the shipyard. Just some of the wonderful stories over the years. We've gone back to people who were there in the 40s, late 40s. So we've gotten quite a collection of history of what it's like. This year, we were going to put on a junior paddle battle. We had a slight misunderstanding in terms of where that stood. We're hoping to persuade our city manager that next year it is something safe and it is something good to do. We want to offer free kayak lessons to Portsmouth youth, ages 8 to 14. We had developed partnerships with PRHA, Police Athletic League, and other groups to fund high-risk children into this program so that we could give them an opportunity to be on the water. What we'd like to do, and what I'm really here to do, in addition to just say we've got less than 4 weeks to go for this year's paddle battle, is to ask the citizens who are watching. We need volunteers, and we'd like racers. If you're interested in participating, just Google Portsmouth Paddle Battle. There'll be a slot for you to register. There'll be a slot for you to volunteer. If you're at Sunset Thursdays, one of the giveaways with the raffle is a free entry into our event. And we want to ask families just to come out, and the citizens just come out and enjoy the day. Saturday, September 7th from 10 to 1. Thank you.
And just so you know, Mr. Bahena, September 7th happens to be my birthday. Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Mr. Bill Dotson. Dr. Bill Dotson. Sir, you state your name and address.
Hi, Bill Dotson, 3269 23701. A couple action items that I'm just asking for tonight. The first one is the city tax rates. You should have a sheet in front of you that we're able to now supply you with a rough comparison of our city tax rates to our surrounding cities. I'd love it if you could make this an agenda item to have our tax rates reviewed. If you go through this very quickly, you'll see that our tax rates on business operators in our city are the highest in the area, and it's about time we had a review. Would love to see an action item on that. The second sheet also goes into some more detail. As you know, the tax rates are very complex. My interview with the Revenue Office says they're just too complex for people to understand. They would love to have direction from you guys to simplify the tax rates that we have in the city. In addition to that, why it has to be on 2 sheets, I have no idea. Second item I'd love to see addressed at a future meeting would be permits, applications, and inspections. Currently in the city, I don't know if I've told you the story before, it took me 4 years to get a building permit. It should not take anyone 4 years to get a building permit. One of the biggest problems, and I'm glad we have a city manager who's familiar with IT, is that we don't have a communication system that goes between the departments. That's a false statement, though. We do have a communication system. It just hasn't been implemented. And in my interview today with some of the departments, and they said the reason was they haven't received direction to implement the system that cross-communicates between our building application and inspections departments. I'd love to ask for an action item to ask the city manager to give direction to implement that system if it is still a viable system. Second item to ask for. The third item is lobbying. Our lobbying system in the city and our grant writing system has been delegated down to the departments. I'm not seeing this as a very efficient system for us to operate. We should have, as the city with the highest, we buy with for the highest crime rate in the state, we should have people on the state level giving us attention. Where's the money? Why are our state legislators not getting us the money? I need to stop there on that one or I'm going to get upset. Why are our state representatives not getting us money? Well, part of it is our fault. As a city, we don't have an effective lobbying and grant writing system within the city. Each department is allocated with the responsibility of doing it for their department. There's nobody to coordinate or say what is available to them to help them with this grant writing process. We are in desperate need of some grants from the state. We need a system that will get them to us. The next item on the agenda, so I'm asking you to look into our lobbying system and have an agenda item brought from the city manager to us to say, how is this lobbying process and this grant writing process, how does it work? So that I would love to see you understand it. Please don't delegate this to the next city council. The last item is we are having some trouble with some neighborhoods in our city. And if we could intervene with these neighborhoods, we could upgrade the value of the properties. Well, if we spend some money, we'll get some money in return. One of the biggest neighborhoods we're having trouble with, and I spoke with Lavonda about this a little bit ago, is Charleston.
Attorney Graham Williams.
Thank you very much. Attorney Graham Williams, I apologize. I spoke with the city attorney, Lavonda Graham Williams, about this earlier. It is a neighborhood that needs to be addressed in our relationship with them. They are reportedly about $500,000 in debt to us as a city on their water bill. They've straightened the system out and had some misreporting about it in the newspapers about how that much debt there is. And they're willing to work with us to have a solution, but they can't even get a bill from us on what that exact debt is. They have tried and tried and tried to get that bill. But with the frequent change in management and the mismanagement within that department, they can't even get a water or sewer bill from our city. And they have gotten to the point where they've given up. We have some other neighborhoods that are desperately in the same, headed down the same boat because they're not getting some of the attention that they need. And their civic leagues are going to go bankrupt on us, which then degrades the property further. I'd love to talk to some of you about those neighborhoods and what their needs are. Finally, the sheet you have in there speaks to some allocation of school board funds that have been reported to me by a third party, so they are hearsay at this point. Please take that with that grain of salt, that there's been a misallocation of $33 million by the school financial system, because that money is supposed to be brought back to you first before it's reallocated, and that has not been done. I'd ask somebody to look into that to verify that this information given to me by a third party is correct first before we make any accusations, but I'd love to have that corrected before it gets to the attention of the legal sources. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Ms. Sheila Joseph. Ms. Joseph, if you would come forward, state your name and address. You have 5 minutes.
Mayor, before Ms. Joseph speaks.
Excuse me. Go ahead, Councilman Tillage. I didn't see you.
Thank you. I just want to clear something. An allegation was just made about misappropriation of funds from the school division. There is no evidence. There's been no proof of that. And I don't know where that situation came from. So I just want the public to be made aware to squash that misinformation as well. So that's not even brought into any type of attention, because that is not something that's been brought to anybody's attention, nor has council or school board had such a conversation.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Barnes, sir, you have the floor.
To further that, all of those things that was mentioned were speculation and based off of someone's opinion. That's not necessarily what's going on in the city. I just want everybody to understand that part too. When people have issues, they do come to council and talk to us, and then we bring that to our city manager. I'm not sure where all of that came from, but we definitely need to make sure that the residents know that that was all speculation and coming from somebody's opinion and not fact.
Thank you once again, sir. Our next speaker is Ms. Sheila Joseph. Ms. Joseph, if you would come forward, state your name and address. You will have 5 minutes, ma'am.
My name's Sheila Joseph at 139 Grand Street, Portsmouth, Virginia, 23702. I also want to give out my email. It's SHEILAJO357 at gmail.com, just in case someone wants to email me about what I'm about to say. I talked about the water bill, and I was told the last time I made the payment, the time slot is from 6 month to the 7th month and due on the 8th, and I went and paid it. A lot of times I don't get my bill on time, but while I'm waiting, I come downtown and get one. But if the information is wrong, I don't feel that I should pay because it'll be putting things in confusion. And I do have statement again after we spoke. I know you're working very hard and I appreciate it. And I'm not speaking against you and the one that's assisting you because there's a whole lot of people with the same issue. But what is going on, I'm limited on income and I'm study paying bills, and turn around is a lot of bills I don't owe, but I want to prevent things because nobody put anything in place like I asked. I wrote a letter talking to you to let you know that I feel that I shouldn't be paying the bill, and I can set the money on an escrow account or something until they get it straight and wouldn't hold me accountable. Number two, I understand how to fix the solution to the problem. I'm not an expert, but I know a lot of things because whether it mean anything to anybody, God helped me with a lot of things and knowledge with the things I do, and some people be amazed at what I know. And I quit school in 11th grade to take care of my family and never went back. But God teaches me everything. Everything you see me do on the website or whatever, anything I say before you, I always get the facts. On this bill that I paid the last time, I was told that from August the 8th forward, I wouldn't have a problem. It'll be corrected. But that's not true, because yesterday I have in my bag that I have the statement, instead of saying, the last one should have said from 6 to 7 due on the 8th of August, which I paid. It was $80-some. And then the next one should read from 8 to 9. But it's saying the one that came in the mail says 7/1 to 7/30. And then it's saying $169 when my bill is really was 80-something that I paid. And it shouldn't be a bill due yet for the new one coming up for September. If I do get the statement, it should say from 7 to 8. You understand? 6 to 7 due in August and 7 to 8 due in September. And like I said, I sit down with my son and lay things out where it should be according from last year to now. But I keep saying every time I come, I would like to have an appointment with the city manager so he can physically see how we are doing it, where it can help. So anyway, I don't want to take up too much of the time, but I wanted to announce that God put it on my heart to do something for the kids that, lost their loved ones, and I chartered a bus for Thursday coming up. I did it on the 6th, and things moved real fast because DEQ had invited me and some other people because they know we do a lot of Zoom with them. At the aquarium, they wanted us to do a special project and bring the kids because they know people, now I understand, didn't have babysitter. But at the time, they put it on the flyer saying free access to limited section for the kids and refreshment. Well, that's what DEQ did. But to straighten out, after I talked to someone at the aquarium, and I didn't find that out until Friday, and I had collected a lot of money. Can I finish the little bit?
You have 1 more minute. You need to wrap it up.
I'm wrapping it up.
Thank you.
What happened was I didn't want my supporters and myself, I didn't worry about myself because I went and took a loan to do it just in case I didn't come through with supporters. And we wanted 43 kids to go, and we got, that for the children, and somebody said I can go to social service and different ones to help get it. So when we ran in a block and got everything taken care of, I had to call the bus driver back and say, hey, now I'm finding out today on Tuesday that we have to pay for those 43 kids. But at the time, they were saying it was no charge. So it's no problem to me, but I'm going to have to ask different ones, not the ones that help with the bus, to help because I don't want to disappoint anybody in what we plan to do. I need y'all's support for those that are listening, and I'm not asking those in front of me unless they want to. I have had one of
Ms.
the
Joseph,
people to help.
I would ask that you stay around after the meeting and talk to whomever you need to talk to.
Okay.
But there are
Thank
other
you, though.
speakers that have to come before us.
But I just wanted to
to
bring that to y'all attention.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.
Our next speaker is Mr. Timothy Todd. Mr. Todd, if you would come forward, state your name and address, sir. You will have 5 minutes.
My name is Timothy Todd. I'm from Chesapeake, Virginia, born and raised in Portsmouth. Portsmouth bred, Portsmouth firefighter for 20 years. I came tonight to speak to you guys on the council about pay raises, but as I've listened to you earlier tonight and also talked with Garland, I'm very appreciative of what you guys are trying to do for us. I just want to let you know that my whole attitude changed once I came here tonight to listen to you guys. Sometimes we are not very informed on things that are going on with the city and with council, and I take that upon myself as not finding out the details. And I just want to let you guys know from the bottom of my heart and the retirees of the city of Portsmouth, we are so grateful and thankful for what you guys are considering. And I'm now the senior pastor at Portsmouth Christian Church here on Detroit Street, and we would love to have each and every one of you come out. May God bless each one of you and keep his hand upon you in every decision that you make.
Thank you, sir. That was our last speaker for the evening. If there's no other business to conduct, this meeting is adjourned.